Though today is not officially a Jewish holiday, on some level it ought to be. And if it was, I think it should be called Jewish Chutzpah Day. Let's explore what I mean. Shalom, my friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. What's special about this day? Well, today is the 10th day of the Hebrew month of Nissan. Nisan, of course, is the holiday that Passover takes place in. In fact, Passover starts in just 5 days this upcoming Saturday night. So everyone knows about Passover, but what's important about this day? What's special about this day? So much that I think it should be on some level another Jewish holiday, and one that's called Jewish Chutzpah Day. When we look in the Torah, when we look in the Hebrew Bible, this is the day, the 10th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan, that God told the ancient Israelites who were in their last days of slavery and bondage in Egypt to take the animal that was worshipped by the Egyptians, right? To take the set, as we call it in Hebrew, to take the lamb and to tie it up, right? And then a few days later, of course, they were going to slaughter it and use the blood from that lamb to put on the doorposts of their homes, so that on the last night of their time in Egypt, after over 200 years of slavery for the nation there, right, the angel of death that was going around Egypt that night, striking all of the homes with firstborn sons in it, on the last of the 10 plagues, their homes would be saved, right? Because they marked their homes with that blood from that animal that they slaughtered that day, which they had taken and tied up a few days before, which is exactly this day. Today is the anniversary of that day. So why do I think on some level it should be a holiday? And why, if it is a holiday, do I think it should be called Jewish Chutzpah Day? Because let's remember, the Jews, the Israelites, they were slaves for over 200 years. They were filled with not only physical slavery, but mental slavery as well. Right? Their minds, just like their bodies, were crushed. They had a hard time believing that they could be free. They had a hard time believing that they could ever overcome their oppression and their oppressors. And so when God tells them, take not any animal, but the animal that is the most important animal in Egypt, and is viewed and served as a god in Egypt, and tie it up, right, to be slaughtered a few days later, that took tremendous, tremendous strength. And let's be honest, tremendous chutzpah. If you're not familiar with the Jewish word chutzpah, it's actually a Yiddish word which means gall, which means you're not afraid, right? You're doing it. You're going at it with all your might, with all your heart. Right? It's a very powerful kind of idea. Right? You're putting your whole self into it, and you believe in what you're doing, and you're not afraid. You're willing to take a risk. You're willing to take a chance. And that's what the Israelites were doing. When God told them to take the animal and tie it up, what was so powerful about that? Because for a good few days, the Egyptians were going to see their slaves, right, the Israelites, taking their God and tying it up. I mean, what kind of act of rebellion is that? What stronger act of rebellion is there? And they were taking their oppressor's God and tying it up. That was a very hard thing for the Egyptians to see, and yet the Israelites still did it. And they did it with strength, and they did it with confidence, and they did it with chutzpah, right? With this real kind of gall behind it. And it took a lot of strength. And that was a very powerful, pivotal, even transformational moment in the lives of the Israelites, right? Where they're starting to overcome their oppressors. They're really believing. Of course, they had 9 plagues before that, and they saw what God was doing for them and against their oppressors. Of course, their belief strengthened as a result of that. But this was kind of like the last piece, that they really, really believed that they could stand tall and walk out of Egypt after over 200 years of slavery. And it was a very powerful moment, and it was a moment where they needed to believe in themselves. God believed in them, and God commanded them to do it, but they needed to believe in themselves and their strength and their own confidence in order to do such a thing. So it's a very powerful day. It's not a holiday. Not many people talk about it, but when you think about it in the context of the greater story of Passover and the Exodus from Egypt, it really is an essential moment. It's a very essential moment for the Israelite people. And again, it's that moment where they pivot, where they say, yes, we can do this. We can stand up against our oppressors, and we are. Watch us. Watch us stand up against our oppressors. And that took tremendous chutzpah. So if we were going to turn this day, the 10th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan, into a holiday, I think it should be called Jewish Chutzpah Day. All the best, my friends, and be well.